what I've got here is I'm going to do a little demo on lighting in Maya, and it's really just the basics. We're going to cover a 3-point lighting scheme. I'm going to start by creating a poly plane, which will be my ground plane, and there we go. So next I'm going to do is I'm just going to create one object, and this object I'm going to set up in the scene like this. So a couple things we want to do. First off is once I have my objects in here, we need to set up some lights. But we also need to do is we need to create a camera. So I'm going to go ahead and create a camera, and I'm going to set the view on this to camera 1. So you're going to notice that here is my camera. So there's my camera. I've got it pointed directly at the ball, and one of the things we want to do is, in this case, you want to get your scene to be staged, right? You want to get your camera into a position that you want to shoot this from. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to go to shading, or no, not shading. I'm going to go to view, camera settings, and do resolution gate. This sets the resolution for us. And the other thing is under our rendering tab, let's go to our render settings and change this to mental ray. I'm not going to create default lighting. I'm just going to stick with changing this to a 16:9 ratio, HD 720. And I'll get to, that's really the only thing I want to do, because if you notice here, now it says 1280 by 720, but before it was 960 by 540. And I just want my resolution to be 1280 by 720. So I'm going to think in rules of thirds. So if I'm thinking of my rule of thirds, give or take, something like this could be one of my horizon lines. This could be my main subject, and I mean, I don't have anything else in here, but I could also include, on the other rule of thirds, make my composition a little bit more interesting. Something like that. And maybe something like that. And there we go. So that's what I'm going to use for my sort of just a really basic sort of setup for this. I just included this for extra objects in my scene. No particular reason why they're a cube, just randomness, whatever. So anyway, what I've got here is I've got a couple objects in my scene, and the only one I'm really focused and concerned about lighting is the ball. But to get started here, one of the first things you always want to do is you want to lock your camera. So right click on here, lock camera, highlight your attributes, and just lock selected. Now, no matter what, I cannot change or rotate or pan or anything in with that camera. So it's locked, it's dead set, which is awesome because we can't accidentally rotate our camera or anything. Now the other thing is we need to start creating some lights. So let's go ahead and go create lights, and what these do, they all do something different. Your most standard light is your directional light, and in a 3-point lighting scheme, we have our backlight, our key light, and our fill light. So this will be basically my key light. Key light is generally the strongest in the strength of the light itself. So this one's going to be my key light. It's set up in a 3-point lighting scheme, so basically a triangle of lights, one at each point. Your fill light can always be a slightly variation of color. So I'm going to change this to be like a subtle blue. And a lot of, one more thing. If we go 4, 5, 6, 7, now you can see that what it looks like with lighting. And then I also need my fill light. And your fill light's generally not as strong as your other lights. So in like a night scene, what they'll do in film or animation, instead of going with all black, they'll do blue shadows with blue lighting. And I'm going to create one more light for the backlight. And this is to create what is called sort of, it gives it a rim effect. Where'd my light go? A little bit too far there. And you're starting to see it's getting that effect very subtly right around here. That's exactly where I want it to be, actually. So I want to have something like so. But I want to make sure that I'm getting it correctly. So I'm going to start with this, and this is a guess and check process. So I'm going to do from this camera, render current frame, and see what happens. Okay. So you can see where my lighting's coming from. I have this soft blue light, which is giving us some cool shadow here, or the sort of like the illusion of a shadow. It's actually being lit. But then also we need to I want to try this at 1.5. Go back to my camera 1, render current frame. So while that renders for a moment, I'm still trying to create that backlight. And what I'm trying to get is called a sort of a rim light. And I have an example down here of what I'm talking about. And this is done very commonly. This is a very exaggerated example, but this is what we're trying to achieve, but only sort of like maybe on one side. So we've got this strong lighting happening from a backlight here, which is giving this highlight around, in this case, this cat or kitten, that soft light. So that's pretty much what we're going for, is to try to recreate that look. So another thing we can also do is something called a render IPR, render current frame. And what this is a you can click and drag and select, and it'll only render out those parts. So if you notice, I mean, you can highlight the entire thing, but you can also do it in segments. And as I highlight these particular sections, it's going to render them for us. So that's kind of neat. And then there we go. So you see it rendering. So once you achieve a look like that, you're off to a pretty good start. Just for an example to show you what some of these other lights do, let's bring this down. Some of the other things that you can do, let's just say I make this an area light. Area light, obviously. Oh, sorry, excuse me. An area light's in a square. The arrow, the line sticking out this way represents which way the light's coming from. Great effect to get like sunlight through windows, things like that, or those ceiling lights in like offices or something where they have like a panel that's just a light. Ambient light. This is very bright light. just to show you, let's go ahead and get back in here and do render current frame. And you see the lighting here happening. Okay. Excuse me. Directional, we went over point light. Sort of a standard, like, little light. You can select a decay rate on here, which is kind of neat. So if you do cubic, you're going to need to bring the strength up of this light very, very high. Because quadratic and it's linear, and it calculates the light a little bit better. So it calculates the light in which it's actually sort of able to travel in this case, essentially. And you'll notice these slight little rings out. Whoop. Quadratic. And once you start bringing it up to those points, you need to begin to crank up the intensity. And that's still not even what it was at 1 with no decay. So again, I'm just going to render a current frame just to show you. Okay. And set it to no decay. Let's see. We have our spotlight. There we go. This is exactly what it is. It's a spotlight. So you'll see you get that round circle, and I'm going to do something like this just to give it, just for the purpose of rendering. So you can play around with these lights. Am I rendering it from the wrong view? No. So you can play around with these lights and create all types of cool little effects. Lighting's a whole different beast on its own. So this is sort of just an intro to it. But if we go to volume, and this is the last light, it's a volume light. You can emit the shape in a cylinder, sphere, box. So I'm going to just stick with the sphere, and I'm going to go ahead and go back in here and do one more render. And obviously you can change the settings, change the color of the light, so on and so forth. But just to give you a heads up, you don't even see this one really doing much over here as compared to here. So in which case it's that guess and check. Let's go ahead and crank this up to 10 and try one more time. But that's really it. It's lighting in a nutshell. A lot of it's guess and check. It's the reason they have the IPR, so this stands for in progress render. So you can constantly update the render part that you want. So even that doesn't even make it very noticeable. And render current frame. And I'm starting to get that rim light a little bit stronger. And there it is. That's exactly what I was going for. I wanted to have this strong rim light right here going around the ball, and then have my fill light here, but my key light focusing over here. So that's a 3-point lighting scheme. And yeah, thanks for watching. And have fun messing around with lights and cameras. Stay tuned for next time.